So we're getting close to the end of HTML basics. Because I want to leave you at this point where with a couple of things. I want to leave you the last thing I will do an example, but it might be not be close in time, but it will not be much more content before we get there. Before I do though, I want to show you what's in here. So I went over the categories, and that's a small part. And then you see we have the doc type, which is a declaration, and I'm giving it the rules, descriptions, examples, accessibility. I'm going to give you a couple of generic rules that are like you really have to follow, but there are more rules to these things floating around. But this is just the starting point, as I previously said. So rule here, doc type, only once per page must be present on all HTML pages. I've said this a lot, and even if I highlight here, you see a highlight down here as well, which is a neat thing in HTML, tells me. And we have declares the document type and version of HTML. I've said this already. So please, just read this if you want to revisit that thing that I said earlier. But this is the structure of what you'll see, and you'll see this kind of structure repeating it down here. It's in this point though, we're starting to look at HTML elements, so the rest of the page is not going to be a declaration, it's going to be elements. And here we have the HTML elements, which is really core, as a document core element. It says here categories, and then it states one category. Down here you see categories, and it states two categories, because this element could be part of both of them. So, and then it gives you the rule. You have to read that and follow that, the description, accessibility. If you actually read this text, I know for sure that many of you will get much out of that, because it will help you not fail the submissions you'll do during the course. I've actually given you the answer, or corrected, guided you in this page to make the right decisions when working with HTML. You just have to find it. Please read. Head, document core elements, metadata content elements, and you see the rule, description, accessibility. So please read all of this all the time. It, keeps on going. And it's long. It's darn long. It took time to write this. And it wasn't really easy to format this way either. Oh, God damn it. I'm going down here to the very, very bottom, because why would I do that? Because at the very end, I've even taken steps to make sure that you have the, ability to read about this. Because you will encounter, in this course, you will encounter problems defining whether you use a side or footer. And since I know that you will encounter this, and I've really talked to students a lot about this during the past years, I want to discuss this. Just, just to try to limit the amount of things you would wonder about, just to get an answer. So we have the side that's described even more here, and I have footer, and in context of deciding whether a side or footer, and then talk about the kind of problems that arises when you're deciding whether it's a side or a footer. It's really important. And I'll be using section versus using article, which is also some kind of gray area that many students find themselves in. Where is this an article? Is this in a section? How am I to know? Try to ask yourself these kind of questions. And then I'll also talk about navigating that gray area down here. You see, everything you find in this file is here to help you navigate future assignments and projects within this course. So please see them as such. They are the help that you need to solve these things. They are not something you can just discard and just go ahead and believe that you'll be able to manage the course without them? I don't think so. I really think you'll need these. So let's get ahead and take the example.